Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon and welcome to yet another deck profile. If you're liking these videos, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. We're really hoping to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, so would really appreciate every subscription. To borrow a catchphrase from a popular UK supermarket chain, every little helps. Anyways, we are looking at Dynasmon today. Now, Dynasmon is something that I don't think a lot of people have been looking at in terms of the YouTube scene, so I thought we'd cover it, see what people think about it. If by the time this video comes out there are other Dynasmon deck profiles, then that's just unlucky on us. But we figured we'd go for it. You know, obviously we've been doing Jank Tank the week running up to the release of Special Booster 2.0 because unfortunately I advertised it as coming out the 28th of October. Probably should have advertised it coming out sooner, but at the same time it was also a very tight release schedule, so we needed as much time as possible. But anyways, this is the list. Now, the one thing I will say with it is it's a theory crafted list. Myself and Charles took a look at this list and made some improvements based on what we were thinking, and it's all based on theory. It's not quite based on practice. We've not practiced any proxies, you know, because of the aforementioned Jank Tank stuff. I've not really had time. I didn't even go to locals last week because I was editing Jank Tank. So you know, and we're actually at the time of recording, we'll be filming the next Jank Tank tomorrow on the 30th of October. We've got that shoehorned in, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that one. The deck that we've got in front of us here is kind of a more of an aggressive Dynasmon list. It doesn't have a lot of recovery, which could potentially be an issue, because obviously it does a lot of self-trashing, but I think it's still going to be a really cool list. So let's get into the card by card. First of all, we're looking at the egg, so we're looking at Kyaromon. So Kyaromon is from BT18, and essentially what it does is when a card is removed from your security stack, you gain jamming. You're removing stuff from your security stack all the time in this deck at every level. So you can gain jamming on basically every Digimon you've got. Essentially, it's really good, and will really help us with kind of swinging in early or late for you know, zero consequence, unless it's of course an option. Then we've got the Candlemon coming in as one of our rookies. So this one, you reveal top 3 cards, you add 1 yellow card with the data trait, as well as 1 card with a Witch-Only trait among them to the hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck. So technically speaking, you could use this as a searcher in any deck that has Witch-Only cards. That includes stuff like Hexablow, or it's you know, stuff like Medieval Gallantmon, for example, because those are Witch-Only cards. They don't, you know, the data card you search for has to be yellow, but the Witch-Only card doesn't. So technically, you could use it as a searcher in any of those, which is quite funny. But obviously it's maximized in here because it's, you know, a yellow list. It's then also got a great inheritable which shares with the Tapiamon from the same set, which is when this yellow Digimon with the data or Witch-Only trait would leave the battle area by your opponent's effects. By trashing your top security card, it doesn't leave. So you have a way of, you know, circumventing, you know, being removed. There was also, I was thinking about trying to get barrier into this deck as well, but there weren't a lot of data Digimon that allowed you to do that. There were quite a few vaccines, but the only data I could find was Tobu Catmon, which you could put in this list, absolutely. So maybe finding additional ways to get barrier would be a really cool inclusion in this deck, just for that extra layer of protection. The next rookie we've got is Tapiamon. Tapiamon is technically a vaccine and not a data, but you know, that's okay. It's a rookie. Rookies aren't always the most searchable thing anyway, and the fact is it still has some very relevant on-play and inheritable effects. Like I said, it's got the same inheritable as the Candlemon, so protecting your data or Witch-Only trait Digimon, which is really nice. But then it also has the on-play of, by trashing your top security, gain 1 memory. So it does work really well in terms of your memory efficiency. You essentially can play this out for 2, which is quite nice. It is a shame it's not a data. It is a vaccine, but you know, it does help you out a lot with the overall strategy. Then we've also got 3 copies of Patamon, so the promo Patamon. Now obviously the BT18 Patamon is probably the best Patamon ever printed, but unfortunately because it digivolves specifically into vaccines in your security, you can't use it in this list really. But this Patamon, the promo, you search your security stack, you add one yellow or black card with 2 or more colours, so card doesn't have to be a Digimon, can be a Tamer, can be an option, to the hand, and if you added cards recovery +1, then shuffle your security stack. It also does have the inheritable of all your opponent's security Digimon get -2k until the whilst you're swinging in and stuff like that. Obviously we've got access to jamming, but that can still come up and still be quite useful if you've not managed to proc that jamming. Then going into our champions, another non-data card. There's only 3 Digimon in this list that are non-datas, but we've got GeoGreymon from BT18, who needs no introduction. He's one on the limited list for a very good reason, and that reason is because you can search your security stack. You may play 1 red or yellow Tamer without paying the cost, and if you did, recovery +1, and then shuffle your security stack. So yeah, you can play a Tamer out for free. Obviously, there's no guarantee that Tamer will be in there. He's obviously best in stuff like Shine Greymon that can put the Tamers into security, but he does work well in basically any yellow list. What's also very key about him is because he's red and yellow, you can use your Dragon's Roar option without having to use, needing both a yellow and a red source. So if you've got the GeoGreymon, you can also use that option, which is really good. Then it also has a nice inheritable of when one of your red or yellow Tamers becomes suspended, you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. So works really well. In regards to some removal, as well as also getting your Tamers out for free. Next is Wizardmon. So this is from the BT18 set as well. By trashing your top security when digivolving, draw 1 and gain 1 memory. So basically it's a cool boy effect without the search, which is quite nice when digivolving, and then it also has that same inheritable effect as the rookies, the Candlemon and the Tapirmon, of when this Digimon with data or witcherly trait would leave the battle area by your opponent's effect, by trashing your top security, doesn't leave. So the fact you can have 2 of that inheritable available is really nice, because you can choose to activate one and not activate the other, and then save the other one for later, which is really, really cool. Next, we've got the Wizardmon X from... just the Wizardmon from BT15. By trashing the top or bottom card of your security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets -6000 DP until the end of their turn. So this one does work well. It's got blocker as well, and it has that on-play deletion. We actually have ways of setting the DP of our opponent's Digimon to 6000, so the fact that we have lots of -6000s in this deck is actually a really good thing. Originally I had 2 of this in here, but I took 1 out for the GeoGreymon, but works really well in this deck. Obviously gives us a little cheeky blocker we can have as well. A little bit expensive to go into, but gives us another Wizardmon for our Wizardmon X. Speaking of Wizardmon X, so add your top security to the hand on play when digivolving. Then if Wizardmon or X antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, you may place 1 use cost 5 or lower yellow or purple option card from your hand as the bottom security card. And then again has that same inheritable effect again of when this Digimon with the data or witcherly trait would leave the battle area by your opponent's effect, by trashing the top security, it doesn't leave. So you could potentially have that inheritable 3 times in one stack, which is really, really nice. Especially because of how big these Digimon can get, that is an absurdly good inheritable to have multiple times. Then going on to our level 5s, we've got Mistymon as our first one. So on play when digivolving, by trashing your top security, this is where we can change the original DP of one of our opponent's Digimon to 6000 until the end of your opponent's turn. So if you change it to 6000 and you've given them a -6, they just die. It's really good. This guy has barrier as well, so a little bit of that extra protection, and also has the inheritable effect of when your security stack is removed from this Digimon may unsuspend, and it shares that inheritable with the other ultimate in this deck, which is the other level 5, which is Skull Baluchimon from BT19. Now, this one does also come in Special Booster 2.0. It's yellow purple, so we've got quite a lot of yellow purple stuff in this, so you could possibly try and sneak in some purple options into this, which would be quite fun. But on play when digivolving, by trashing your top security card, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon and gain 1 memory. So really nice, because the fact that he costs 4 to go into, potentially if you've managed to delete something, he'll only cost 3, which is pretty nice. Also has an on deletion effect of recovery +1, as well as that same inheritable as the Mistymon to unsuspend by trashing the top of your security. Next we go into the level 6s. So we've first got Dynasmon Ace from BT18. He's got Raid, obviously he can Ace, so you can blast into him. He's got an on play when digivolving, when attacking, which is not once per turn. I repeat, not once per turn. So if you do Digivolve into him on your effect, you can do the when Digivolving and the when attacking in the same turn. By trashing your top security stack, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k until the end of their turn. Really good, because that means you minus 6, attack, minus 6, you do minus 12 on something potentially. Really freaking nice. Then he has the all turns effect of while you have 3 or fewer security cards, this Digimon gains blocker and gets 4000 DP. So really defensive, really big. Obviously you can swing in, trash the top of your security with one of your level 5 inheritables, unspend, and then you've got a massive blocker, you know, just right in the way. Which is really, really nice. I've then put 1 copy of the BT18-19 Dynasmon, which is on play when Digivolving. By trashing your top security card, one of your Digimon gains blocker and gets plus 6000 DP to the end of your opponent's turn. So he gets huge. Absolutely huge. It's an on play as well, so you can use that in Royal Knights quite comfortably, which is really cool. And then all turns, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, if you have 2 of your security cards, recovery +1. Obviously, you've got a lot of ways of protecting from leaving the battle area, and you get absolutely huge, but that all turns effect could still come up and give you that much needed recovery, so why I put this in as a one-of. Next, we've got the really big boy of the whole deck, Dynasmon X Antibody. He's got Raid, he's got Blocker, he's got a when Digivolving when attacking, which is once per turn, unlike the Ace. If Dynasmon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, by trashing your top security card, trash your opponent's top security card, and this Digimon gets plus 6000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. So not only do you trash your security card, thus protting a lot of your effects, getting a lot of stuff off, you also trash the top of your opponent's security stack. So really good. And you know, Raid with plus 6000, you go up to 18, and you're a blocker, and you unsuspend. Need I say more? It's just insane. And then end of your turn effect. If you have 2 or fewer security cards, recovery +1. So if he sticks on the board and you've got 2 or fewer security, bam, I'm back up to 3. It's almost like he's a Pulsemon card in disguise. He wants to be at that 2 or fewer, 3 or fewer kind of gateway. But really strong card, like really, really good. You know, both aggressive and defensive, kind of what I like, because I love decks which are both offensive and defensive. Honestly, theory crafting this list makes me want to build this list. Makes me want to build Dynasmon, because it looks really cool. Then, of course, as a token level 7, we've got Shine Greymon Maroon mode. Needs no introduction. You know, when Digivolving on deletion until the end of your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's Digimon get -5. Obviously, if you manage to Digivolve and delete yourself in the same turn, then you're going to be, you know, putting -10 on their board. You know, which is bonkers. Then end of attack, delete the said Digimon and one of your opponent's Digimon, and recovery +1. Then if you have a Tamer in play, hatch 1 Digi-Egg to an empty space in your breeding area. So really strong, too strong. The bane of existence is why we ban it in Jank, because we don't like playing around this card. You know, because once it's out, it stalls the entire game, and you know, you win, you know, quite cheaply. But you know, he's still too good. You have to have him in. He's the best yellow level 7 in the game. Absolutely. Then going into the Tamers, we've got 4 of the Tai and Kari from BT9. It's yellow and red, so it means you can use your Dragon's Roar. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, gain 1 memory. And if your opponent has 3 or fewer security cards, gain 1 memory. So really good with our whole, you know, we trash our security down so we can gain memory at the start of the turn. You know, and if you've managed to be really aggressive, your opponent will have 3 or fewer, so you gain loads of memory. Then when one of your red or yellow Digimon attacks, you will suspend this Tamer to have all of your opponent's security Digimon gain -2 for the turn. So obviously you could spend this, you can activate your Geo Greymon effect. If you don't have the jamming effect, you can make the you know, the security weaker. Just a really fantastic card for this deck. I've also put in 2 copies of the BT15 Kari. Now the reason being for this one is it's actually a Tamer that does have a trashing effect. You know, if anything, this whole deck is kind of like you know, Dynasmon if it were better. You know, it's funny because it's also a Raw Knight, but so you could potentially use some of the old Dynasmon stuff, but obviously Richard's effect would not be, you know, usable at all, but Kari's is. So when she gets trashed from the security, one of your opponent's Digimon gets security stat -1 until the end of the turn, so can really help. Sets you to 3 as well, and all turns where the effect removes cards from your security stack. By suspending this Tamer, one of your opponent's Digimon gets security stat -1. So by having that security stat -1, that really helps us because of the fact we've got such low security all the time, and because, you know, we could get into really danger town by removing too much of our security. So the Kari really helps us out in that endeavor. Next, we've got a couple of different options to go over. We've got one, Odin's Breath. When this is trashed, you get to activate its main effect. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP until the end of your opponent's turn. Then, if there's 6 or fewer total cards of both players' security stacks, all of your opponent's Digimon gain security stack minus 1 until the end of your opponent's turn. We've also got one copy of Revelation of Light. I was tempted to bump up Revelation of Light to 2 and take the Odin's Breath out, but I think the security stack minus 1 on the Odin's Breath, because that's on the whole board, is just really good. And plus, if we've got both of them, that's a little bit more versatility. Revelation of Light, of course, searches your security stack and plays a yellow level 4 or lower Digimon from among them without paying the cost. Then you shuffle the security stack, and if you've got Kari and name, you then place the Revelation of Light into your security. And when it's in security, all of your opponent's Digimon and security Digimon get minus 5000 DP until the end of your turn. It's also another option that, if it's trash, will activate its security effect. Doesn't activate the main effect, but it will activate the security effect. And minus 5 on the whole board, I mean, ruin mode, need I say more? That's a really good effect. We've then got 2 physical training, obviously helps us searching our yellow pieces and go into our yellow Digimon for cheaper. Enough said there, really. We then got Dragon's Roar, which is Dynasmon's new option card. It's yellow-red, so you're not always going to be able to use it, but the fact we've got a yellow-red Tamer does help with that, and the Geogreymon helps, and obviously all of the Dynasmon are yellow-red as well. But the main thing with this one is that it does work in security extraordinarily well. So when it's trashed from the security stack, you activate its security effects. And while you have a yellow Digimon with a data or witchery trait, you may ignore this card's color requirements. So also, if you've got those witchery trait Digimon, all the yellow data's out, then you could just use it without the color requirements as well. But by having the tie and the Geogreymon, you've got additional things that will help you with those things. Then main effect, by trashing your top security card, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6k until the end of their turn. Then if you have 2 or fewer security cards, place this card as your bottom security card, so very much like Thunderflame Crusher. And then its security effect is you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less, bearing in mind you have a way of setting them to 6, and you have lots of things that do minus 6. And then if you have specifically 0 security cards, bearing in mind this with its main effect puts itself at the bottom of your security, so it would be the last security card, recovery plus 1. So it's a way of removal that also gives you a recovery in security. It's so good. It's so freaking good. Like, it's just amazing. Then we've also got 2 copies of Protoform. This just helps us going into our Ex-Ante Digimon for cheaper, whilst also giving us a slight recovery option in terms of taking something from our sources if something does die, and also by putting this into the security so that we can get a little bit of a recovery. But that's the deck. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, this is very theory crafted and was built to be a very aggressive list. Pardon me there, sorry, just on camera. Just let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me, is this a deck that you like? Is this a deck you were looking to build? Is this a deck you'd like to see one of us build on the channel and have a match with? Maybe put this up against Lord Nightmon. Why not? Be a thematic matchup. Maybe it's like a sparring match between the two. That'd be quite fun. But let us know what you guys think. We'll have a couple of more profiles coming out later this week. Though at the time of recording, I don't actually know what those will be. So keep an eye out for those, whatever they may be. But until next time, everyone, keep it digital.